Okay, no problem.
or or something.
So we do not have a lot of time to waste. I think we have about 58 minutes. Um, I would, I think we should start. Any other person that comes after this, well, I don't know what to say. Or do we give a few minutes, um, maybe by 4:35? But it's really not going to change anything. You guys can speak up. Do we add like because it's just like a minute left to 4:35. Okay, cool. We'll give that just for the sake of giving. Um, sorry, excuse me. Um, good day, Grace. Were you in the yesterday's session? Good day, Favor. Were you in the yesterday's session? Mr. Lancelot is
Good
around.
afternoon. I wasn't in session yesterday.
Okay, but did you get any emails?
You
My friend just shared the
Oh,
email.
okay. So yeah, yeah, no problem. Do you have I am very sure by now, for those who got the emails, you already have Microsoft SQL Workbench and Server installed on your PC. Yeah, Grace, you want to say something?
oh yeah, same thing Favor said.
Yeah. So I think Cecilia sent me a message. So your friend is Cecilia, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So do you have the SQL Server and the Workbench installed, or
I do have
Not
them. I have it
yet.
installed.
okay? So I think you should try as much as Cecilia. Please try to send them the emails. It has the tutorials on and the resource link on where to um how to and where to get the SQL Server and the Workbench. And so basically, we didn't do anything yesterday other than an introductory session. So nothing, we really did not do anything serious. So I'm going to reiterate what we discussed yesterday. Let me see if I still have the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, yeah. So quickly, so basically, what we discussed yesterday was an explanation on how SQL works. The assumption is a lot of us are coming from a spreadsheet perspective, so specifically Microsoft Excel. Only very few people said they didn't use Microsoft Excel, which is I found it quite weird, but well, um, we have like close to 8 billion people, um, so basically, if you have worked with a spreadsheet before, you know that specifically Microsoft Excel, whether on Mac or on Windows or operating system, you know that when you open your Microsoft Excel software, you have a workbook, right? The workbook is saved as whatever name you save the workbook. The file extension is a .xlx, right? And inside your workbook, you can create different worksheets. And you store this file, your Microsoft Excel workbook, as a file in a particular folder or what I call directory. Now, for SQL database, it works the same thing. So you have for a SQL database, it basically stores data in a server. And so the server works like your folder in your local machine, and it houses databases, and the databases houses different tables, just like your worksheet and your workbook. Now you can have one folder that have multiple Excel workbook, that each workbook has multiple Excel worksheet. The same thing as your SQL database. You can have a server that have multiple databases, and in each individual databases, you have different tables. I told you that unlike Microsoft Excel, um, the SQL database software works differently, and you have a UI, a user interface for interacting with your worksheet. So does your SQL database, but unfortunately, you cannot do anything that has to do with visualization. You can do things like what like summary table, like what pivot table does, and a lot of aggregation, like some counts, standard deviation, average, and so on and so forth. Those are what they call aggregation. So the same thing you can do the same thing in SQL database. But what distinguish between a spreadsheet and a database is basically the amount of data one can take over the other. Does that make sense? Any questions? Does that make sense?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, if I remember correctly, the limitation to Microsoft Excel is about 1,048,000 and some change of rows of data, of which by the time you start crossing somewhere around 100,000 rows of data, your Excel would now be depending on your machine, how strong your machine is. But a SQL database, you can have actually up to 1,000,000 rows of data. And it's not even going to budge. It will just behave as if nothing happened. Um, you don't necessarily need a specification of a machine, a very big machine. I mean, a very huge PC to work with SQL database. So now that we have that, I'm just going to open the SQL MySQL Workbench. Now, I just said yesterday that we have different flavors of SQL, just like you have different flavors of ice cream. You have your vanilla, you have strawberry, you have chocolate. For ice cream lovers, you know your different flavors. Now, the same thing with SQL. SQL is a language, so it's called structured query language. It's a language that you use to interact with a database, and the language has your different vocabularies, call syntax, or instructions that you say, do this for me, and to do it. To do it. Unfortunately or fortunately, the language is in English, and so yeah. So these different flavors of SQL, ranging from MySQL to PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL Server, and SQLite. We have Oracle SQL. I think we have Cassandra as well. So we have different flavors of SQL. But I like using MySQL because I like it. It's a preference. Just like, I think, what flavor of ice cream do I like? I think chocolate or so. I don't know. But the same way you would have a preference for your chocolate. And so I said for that reason we'll be using MySQL, and the interface we are going to be using to interact with MySQL server is the SQL Workbench. So this is like the user interface, just like you have your Microsoft Excel as the software you use to interact with your workbook and your worksheet. So on launching MySQL Workbench, this is what you are going to see. So the next thing you are going to be looking for is your SQL connection to your local instance, depending on what you name it. This is my server. Now, because this has a lot to do with security, you require some kind of access that would ask you for a password. So you can see the service. This is the name of the service. This is the address, and this is the port number. This is my user, which is root, and I'm going to enter my password. I remember. Oh, I remember. That's interesting. So once I enter my password, I think I should just close this for the sake of let me not cause confusion. Don't worry about this. Sir, what is it, sir? Adinka.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
So
sir.
I just want to ask whether the section is recorded and we can get the
Yes,
recording after.
I think I am recording this session.
Okay, so that we can get some practice.
Yeah, I think I'm recording it. Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
now when you go to the SQL Workbench, this is what you are going to see. I think maybe together with something like this. So basically, this is what you are going to see. You have something in your right hand side which I've never really bothered to check. You have something on your left hand side which I think so this is what literally what you are going to see. So you have information, you have your navigator, you have file, edit, view, query, database, server, tools, scripting, and help. And these are just icons to get you to. So if I hover around this icon, it says create new SQL tab for executing queries, which you can actually do here. And yeah, or you could come here and create a new query tab. So and it has a shortcut Control T. So when you get to this particular place, you do two things. You see this place, we don't really need it. So you just click on this icon here, the at the far right, just click on it so it should disappear because we really don't need it. Then on your navigator, you would see schema. Click on, you see administration and schema. So a lot of people get confused, like, oh, I what was on showing on your screen wasn't what was showing on mine. So just click on schema. This is what you're going to see. Now, your schema basically are your databases, right? So like I mentioned earlier, you have your server, which is my local instance. Now you have your schema, which is basically your databases. Now in each of these databases, hopefully you have a table. So if I click on the drop down of the database, you have a table. Let me see if I can increase I can increase the font size, which is interesting. So now, in order for me to interact with this database, I would write a language, a instruction. How do I do that? I will just go and click on this particular first icon here, click on plus, and you see it there. If I don't want to do that, I will just go to file, I'll go to new query tab, and it's the same thing. Or the shortcut, I'll click, or I'll just type Control and T. So if I say Control T, it's going to open a new query file. So basically, this file is the instruction you are going to tell SQL that do these certain things for me, and it's going to do it. Now, let me go back to Microsoft Excel just so I like going back there so that so this is my Microsoft Excel software, right? I click on it, it's automatically going to create so this is the interface. If I want to create a new workbook, I'll just say blank workbook, or if I say new, I'll go to blank, right? Now this is the blank workbook with a name, book one. Is an automatic name, doesn't mean it's the final name. This is sheet one. If I click on this is what the worksheet, which is called sheet one, it has a name. If I click on plus, it's going to open another one like that, like that, like that. Now, because this Microsoft Excel is meant to be intuitive, right? It helps us do this using UI, using the user interface. Unfortunately, SQL is not like that. You have to give instructions that create a workbook for me called so workbook. You give it a name, which is book one. Create a worksheet for me called so worksheet. Does that make sense? Do you understand? Okay, good. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I'm trying to join with my laptop. I need your permission.
Oh, I didn't know that you're trying to do that. No, I don't think you are. I've seen you here. No, see you here. I'm not seeing you, so
Let me send it again.
okay, cool. So does this make sense? I mean, the explanation, does it make sense? Okay, cool. So going back to SQL, if I want to create the database, somebody is raising their hands. Okay.
No, it's a mistake. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's fine.
So if I want to create a workbook which is equivalent to a database in or a schema in SQL, I will tell it create something for me. So the instruction for it is basically create. What do I want to create? I will say create a schema, or I will say create a database. Anyone is fine. Now I will give the name of the database, just like Microsoft Excel will automatically create the name of my workbook called book 1. This is not automatic. I have to name it. So who do I name it after? Let's say SQL, LinkedIn SQL session. Sorry, LinkedIn SQL session. Or let's just say LinkedIn SQL, right? Then I'll say maybe DB, which is an abbreviation for database. Now, there's a reason why I'm using underscore, and that's because SQL does not like naming things, giving it space. It's not like Microsoft Excel. It doesn't like spaces at all. If you are giving SQL a space, you are telling it is assuming it is something that means something to SQL. So watch what happens. I'm going to do this, and by that I'm done giving. So basically, you say create the database and database name. So this is just the instruction. You use create. What do I want to create? A database. Now then, it will now be a database name. Let me say underscore name, right? So that's what I'm doing here. So basically, that's what I'm doing. Now, once you are done giving an instruction to SQL, you always end it in a semicolon. Always, always. Now that I'm done giving the instruction, I want to then execute this command because I'm not done. So I'll just highlight everything here and click on this thunder sign here, or this one. There is a difference between these two, which I will explain later. So you just highlight and click. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Now, under the down part of this particular place is an interface called output. So it shows for everything that I do, it will be telling me the kind of output. Is this successful? Is not successful? How do you know it is successful? You will see a green check mark, and look, it's telling me create database this one row affected, and it's showing green. So green is usually good. Now I'm supposed to see the database here, but unfortunately I'm not seeing it. But the action output is showing me green, meaning that everything was fine. What do? There's no need to panic. You just click on this refresh button here. Can you guys see it here?
Yes.
Cool. Refresh, and you can see then my LinkedIn SQL database. That's the name. Now I am going to do the same thing, but I'm going to leave space, just so we can see the implication of what this is. So I want to say LinkedIn SQL database, but I am a novice. I don't really know, the SQL syntax like that, and I'm going to run this. Highlight, end it with a semicolon, and execute. You can see the red sign, right, with the cross showing that there's something wrong, right? And you can then see the messages telling me error code. And if you read it very well, basically the problem is these spaces that I'm leaving here. Do you understand? So it understands the first space that, okay, this can be because what is supposed to follow after database usually should be the name of the database, but it doesn't understand these other ones. What does it mean? Now if I decide to delete this, right, and run it, it understands it that I'm saying that create a database called LinkedIn as the database name. If I run it, or if I execute it, you can see it is telling me that a green sign, meaning everything is good. Now if I come to my schema, I don't see anything. No need to panic. You can either right click and click on refresh all, or you can just click on this refresh button icon here. Now you can see my LinkedIn, right? Now let's say I don't want, this is the name of the database I want to create, and this was a mistake. If I want to delete it, I'll just say, so I can do two things. I can right click and drop schema, or because I want to show that I'm a guru, I also drop uh, database, or I can say drop schema, and I'll call the name of the schema linked, right? And I'll end it with a semicolon. I'll go to my execute and run it, and you can see that it has already deleted, right? You guys can see that. Any questions? Any questions?
No.
Are you sure? Cool. I don't think I can. Yeah. So, now, so you know how to create database. You know how to create. You know how to delete a database. So schema and database is basically the same thing. Okay, no questions. Cool. Now that I've created my database, I want to create a table. Like I said, the Microsoft Excel works with this is my workbook, which is book one, and this is my table, my worksheet, um, call sheet one. So the same thing. Now that I've created a database called LinkedIn underscore SQL underscore DB, I want to create a table, right? Now, if I want to create a table, who can guess what I'm going to write? Somebody who doesn't know. Who can guess? Who has never attempted SQL before? Oh, Grace wants to say
Creatable. I don't know. Creatable.
create table, then table name, right? So this,
Yes.
I'll say Grace. Grace table, right? So everything is fine. Now, unfortunately, if I want to create a table here, I'll just say name, let's say age, phone number, something like that. I don't want to use anything serious. Let's say state, and so on and so forth. Now, it's very easy for me to do that on Microsoft Excel, because again, it made a lot of things very easy for us to do. Since when did they add Teams to this? Interesting. Sorry, I don't mind me. So it is easy because it made a lot of things very easy using a UI. Unfortunately, if I want to do that for Grace's table, I have to add attributes to this particular table. How do I add attributes? I'll put a parentheses or a bracket open and close. Then I'm going to end it with a semicolon. That's the end of my statement. However, I have to start telling the table the kind of the kind of data I want to store, with the name of the table, of the kind of data I want to store. So basically, for this name, we have column A or column name, and column B or column H, and column C or state, right? Because usually in Excel, the first row is considered the name of the whole column. Is that not? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Yes.
now I have to do that for SQL. Now I'll call, so the first thing it's going to take is the name of the table. So I'll just say name. If I want to add another column, I'll say comma age. If I want to add another column, I'll say comma state. Let's say state of origin. Right. Now, this is not all. Unfortunately, I don't know why I like using unfortunately. Unfortunately, unlike Microsoft Excel, although mentally you know that here, for instance, I'm not supposed to put 30. Is that not? And here, for instance, I'm not supposed to put Grace. What is Grace's full name? I saw it before. Let me use another person's name. Oh, Hassan Yusuf, unfortunately, I'm going to use you. So then maybe state of origin, let's say, I assume everybody is Nigerian here, I'll just say Lagos. So somebody should tell me what is wrong with this stuff here.
The name
Age
cannot be a number. Age should not be.
So it means that there is a missing. I did like a swap, right? So if I want to, we swap everything here to just be like this. Now, question: can I have 31.1 here?
No.
Nope.
Why? Is it not a number?
It's
It
not
is.
a whole number.
It's not a
It
whole
is.
number.
It is.
So
But age is not.
it's not, yeah. So
Cannot be a fraction.
a fraction. So good. I just remember when we were young. If you are like 4 or 5 years old, maybe you are 4 or 5 years old, and you be 6 years old in maybe by by October. If they say you are five, they say no, I'm 5 years and sometimes. So we know that age cannot be a fraction, right? So we are not expecting a decimal here. So it means that mentally you are expecting a kind of data in every column that you are entering, right? So for instance, here you are expecting a text, here you are expecting a whole number, here you are also expecting a text. Is that not? So the same thing with SQL. By the time you name the column, you have to give the data type of that particular column, what you are expecting, so that somebody will not go and enter anyhow information. So this, one of the advantages of SQL is that somebody do not enter rubbish information. You are going to control rubbish information. Somebody shouldn't go and enter something that is not supposed to be there. Make sense? Now, so by the time you give the column a name, you have to tell it the type of data it wants to take. Now, this is just a by the way. Now, the data types in SQL are about 4 or 5, or there are many, but one off the top of my head, you have whole numbers, you have decimal, you have dates, you have I think you have boolean, true or false, 1 or 0, -1, +1, the opposite of something. You have variable character, you have character, you have text, and there are some other ones. So decimals, you can also say float. All is fine. Whole numbers is also known as integer, and the abbreviation for it is int. Date is date. Variable character, what variable character means is different kind of characters in one place. So for instance, if you have so it can be alphabet numeric or alphanumeric. Does that make sense? You know what alphanumeric is? A combination of both numbers and alphabet, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, so the difference between variable character and text is the length of things it can carry. So for variable character, you usually will specify the length of characters. So each is expecting that everything you write, so something like favor is saying F is one character, A is one character, V is one character, O is one character, and R is one character. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So somebody's favor, sorry, but somebody like favor, I'm going to put, if I'm expecting favor and grace as the name, I'm going to be putting 5 characters. But we know that has anybody seen somebody's name, maybe first or last name, having like up to 50 alphabets inside it?
No.
Good. So it means that your name usually should have a stop, where it is going to end, right? So anytime you are seeing you want to use data type for name. Usually we use variable character because we do have some idea of the number of characters we are willing to take for a name. You understand? So for something like address, can anybody tell me the number of characters they've seen in an address?
At least more than 20.
If somebody start describing his house address for you, alright, it's more than it will be far more than 20. Did you get? In fact, they will say maybe it has a lane, is it a close, is it a plot, then the name of
Yeah,
the
off, behind,
office, then,
near.
then the street name, then maybe if it belongs to a province or a local government, they'll put it there. Oh, somebody said 50. It will be more than that. So maybe the state, the postal code, and maybe the country. Make sense? So usually in address, you really do not have an idea of what somebody is going to put there. So therefore, anytime you are using addresses, you use text because text doesn't have, it's infinite basically. So I just really needed to state that out here. Now, so for name, maybe in this case, because I do not want I want people's name, the first name they should put their first name then last name. I can just say first name here. I can either say first name like this or first name like this, all is fine. Then maybe the next one will be last name and a comma, right? Now, do you know the reason why I'm putting a new, like as if I'm entering a new paragraph? Is, this and this one, which one is finer? Which one looks more fine, like more presentable, more readable? So if I do something like this, which one looks more readable, this or the other one?
The other one.
The other one.
So the reason why I do this is so for neatness of code for somebody who is looking at your queries. Do you understand? So it doesn't mean that it's not going to execute. It's just for neatness of writing queries. So because that's another thing you have to look out for every time you are writing a query. Somebody would look at your somebody is going to look at your query and you want them to be able to read it and you want them to be able to read it fine. Make sense? Yeah. So that's another thing. So now I said the name, right? So I want to give the data type. So I would say variable character, varchar. Then I would say, let's say somebody's first name should not be more than 40. And it's safe for me to do that for the last name too as well. For age, what data type should it carry? Based on these data types I've mentioned, what data type should it carry? I want somebody who doesn't. Oh no, why not? You already.
Sorry.
Because it's whole number. Then state of origin, what data type should it carry?
Text.
Text. No, now state of origin is usually okay, variable character. I think Grace said that, but I think she's not so sure of herself. So I would say I would say favor. Okay, cool. Yeah. I would say variable character, and I would say maybe 100, but I know it's not going to be more than that. But let's just say 80 characters, right? Then maybe I'll say address.
So I want to ask something. Do we just assume the number, or like you can just put any number there?
So you can put any number as much as you know the kind of data that is going into it. And let's assume that, let me even make an assumption that I put 2. Let's say I put 2. There's no state of origin that is 2, but let's just say I put 2, right? I made a mistake and I put 2, and I want to run it. I want to execute my query, my instruction. I'm going to say, for your sake, I'm going to make this mistake. Um, so now that I'm done, I've put the column name and the data type that I'm expecting. And I've made the mistake of saying the variable character for state of origin is 2, right? So I'm going to highlight everything and execute. So I'll click on this thunder sign. So what is it saying? Can I make a
We
mistake?
have the table already. You've already created the table, so you have to change the table name.
I don't think I did. Oh yeah, I know why. So the reason why this thing is not executing, like I said, a table is supposed to belong to a database, right? But look at all my database. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 database. So which of the, if I create this instruction now, which of these databases is it going to go to? Because it doesn't really know where to go to, right? So after I've created my database, if I want to start creating table, before I start creating my table, I have to tell the server which of the databases do I want to use. I think this was intentional and I forgot. So in order for me to do that, I'll say use, I'll say linked underscore SQL underscore DB, semicolon. I'll highlight everything, and watch what happens on this schema here once I execute this. You guys see what happened? The database I wanted to use became bold, right? And it just automatically did a drop down for me. You guys saw that, right? Okay, cool. Oh, yeah. Any other person missed that? Okay, cool. I think people saw that. Now, once I've now defined the database I want to use, then I can now say I want to create this database, this table inside this database. That's basically what it's saying. So I'll just highlight, then I'm going to execute. Now you can see the thing is showing me green. But if I go to my table, I'm not seeing anything there. What do I do? No, don't panic. Just click on this refresh, or I can just right click here and click on refresh. Right? So anyone is fine. So if I click on refresh, then you can then see that an arrow button has appeared, and when I click on it, it's like a drop down. I'll see the grace table that I created. Now if I click on the drop down, I'll see the different columns. If I click on the drop down, you can see the columns. If I click on columns, you can then see under information is telling me my first name has variable character of 40. That's 40 characters. Last name the same thing. I think for name you can use character instead of variable character, but I am already used to using variable character because character will just be just alphabet, I think. Now that I've created my first name, last name, and every other thing here, what I want to do, I want to then view my table. Well, I've created my database, I want to view my table. Now, in order for me to view my table, there's an instruction I'm going to use to view table. The first instruction is from, right? So anytime you are using from, you're actually calling out the table you want to use. So I'll say brace underscore table. Now, the second would be select, but it comes before from. Now, select. What do I want to select? Basically, if you are telling select, if you are using select, you are mentioning the columns in your table. So I have first name, comma, last name, comma, age, comma, state of origin, comma, address. I hope you guys saw that I've made a mistake, right? Now, then when I'm done, basically I'm done, I'm just going to end it with a semicolon, and I'm going to highlight everything and I'll execute. So you see it's successful and it's showing me the output, a result read up. You can see it's showing me the column first name, last name, um, uh, age, state of origin, and address. Just like the way, hey, imagine the punishment I went through just to display just this. Very interesting stuff. Yeah. So just to display this now, um, so this I want to tell you, there are use cases for using Microsoft Excel, and there are use cases for SQL. Do not take a gun to a knife fight. It will just end up wasting your time. But take a gun to a knife fight too, so that you can finish your enemy quickly. uh, but basically, the do not take a gun to a knife fight. You understand what that means? So you are overkilling it, right? So, like I said, whenever you are working with SQL, you are working with large amounts of data that Microsoft Excel cannot comprehend, because having that the housing that data alone is a problem for it. You're not even going to start doing any kind of analysis. So, um, yeah, true. Now that I'm done, the next thing I would want to do is to start inserting data just like I did here. While I have a UI for this, unfortunately, you need an instruction. Now, if I want to do anything that has to do with inserting data into my table, I'll say insert into, and I'll call the name of my table. What's the name of my table? Grace underscore table. Now, what do I want to insert? I will call the name of my columns of the kind of data I want to insert. So I'll say the Grace table has an attribute. So our first name, last name, comma age, comma state of origin. I'll teach us a shortcut on how to do this very soon. Not now. Then when I'm done, I would say values. Now these are the entries I want to do. So for my first name, I would say, now if you want to enter a text, you just use uh, what's the English name for this? Single quotation. Single quotation mark. So I'm going to enter Grace as her first name. I'll enter her last name. I can see the last name. So I'll enter it. I'll see Grace's age is 70. Sorry, Grace. His date of origin is Rivers. Her address is 123. Somebody should call out an address for me. That's
You
it.
can just use ABC or something.
Sorry.
And they can just use ABC or something.
Yeah. So ABC Lane of something close. PH Rivers. Maybe I'll say Nigeria. Right? Now when I'm done, I'm going to end it with a semicolon. Then I would highlight everything here. Now you can see that this thing is really, it's looking a bit messy. So usually is the reason why we do this. We do this because this usually looks messy, right? So this is it, and maybe I should just take it. This looks a little bit cleaner. So just for cleanness of code, nothing really. Then I'm going to highlight everything to the insert and execute. Okay, so it's telling me, aha, good. It's telling me that there's an error. What's the error? Data too long for column, state of origin at row 1. Now, because I enter variable character of 2, but I'm entering reverse as a reverse, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I'm having an issue because this is 6 characters, but I said it can only take 2 characters. So let's say I'm just going to say re, for instance, but I know it's reverse. Then I would copy everything here and I'll execute it. Now you can see everything is fine. Now for me to view my table, I'll just go up here and execute, and you can see the name, first name, last name. Grace is 70 years old. The state of origin is RI. I don't know what that means, and the address is whatever this is. Now I made a mistake. I want to really correct it, which is that my variable character should be more than 2, right? I want to edit the column. I want to edit the column and the data type. Now, if I want to do that, I would say, uh, interesting. How I've forgotten this is, I mean, this is a lot of time. I would say, alter, alter table, then I'll name the name of my table. I'll give the name of my table. I'll say, what do I want to do? I want to set, so I want to modify, um, what column? I want to modify state of origin, state of origin. I want to change the data type for variable character. I want to say, I want to put maybe 40. I'm done. I would end it with the semicolon, highlight, and I'll execute. Now you can see that um, there is a green sign, which is fine. Everything is fine. Now I'm going to just refresh this and go back to my column. Can you then see that the variable character has changed to 40? Does that make sense? From 2 to 40. Good. Now I want to then correct this my table from re to reverse. How do I do that? I'm going to use the so basically I want to update my table. So I'm just going to say update, and I'm just going to call the name of my table. I'll say set state of origin. I'll say equal to reverse. I remember, yeah. Now I can do this like this and it's going to be fine. The reason is because I only have one row of data there, so I'm just saying set it to be reverse. So I'll be fine. I know what some of you are thinking, but I'll be fine here. Now I'm just going to execute this, and you can see it's showing me everything. So anytime you see this green sign, you really don't need to read the rest. It means everything is fine. If it's not fine, you will know. Now to view my table, I'll execute my command for table, and you can see everything is now taking reverse instead of RI. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Any question? Any questions?
No, for me.
Okay, cool. Now, let's say I want to do multiple entries now. I'm just going to copy this because I'm too lazy. I'm lazy is one of the reasons why I chose data analytics as a profession. It's because of my laziness. Just so you know. Now, this time around, I would say, let me call Hassan Yusuf. Maybe Hassan Yusuf is 170, and Hassan Yusuf is from Lagos. I'll say number this. Let's say BAZ close. I would say Nothing Street. I would say it's again I'm going to mention somewhere Nigeria. Cool. Let's say I want to enter another data, right? I'll just say comma, and basically I would put um, the same thing I just did first place. So who's going next? Let me see people's name. So I'm going to say Abiola. The next will be um, Ola Iwaju. What is it? Okay, so just for coding ethics, to make it neat, I'll take it to the next place. I would say um, you are 40 years, you stay in Kwara, uh, your address is something something street. Let's say your address is this one that you have to do tutorial on the don't mind me of that street, um Lagos, Nigeria. Let's say Lagos State, because some people like to do everything in book. Now, if I so want, I can add another data. Now this time around, let me make fun of myself. I'm 12. I'm from Kaduna. Let's see. Let's say you will not understand street. On my Kaduna South, somebody is laughing. Kaduna State, Nigeria. Okay. Mm, Nigeria. Cool. Now that I'm done entering these two data, I'm going to highlight everything to the insert um, syntax. I'm going to execute, and everything is showing me green. I'm going to then go back to this to view my table. I'll highlight this, execute, and you can then see I have new data in my table. Any questions? Any questions?
None from me.
Cool. Okay, so now names are supposed to be proper nouns, right? So proper nouns will take that the first alphabet is capital letter, right? One of them. So I made a mistake with Grace's name, right? And I want to update Grace's name to have the same format, right? So what can I do? I'm going to do an update because I want to touch the table. So I'm going to do an update. So basically, I'm just going to copy this. I want to update Grace's name. And I'll say Grace table set first name. So Grace is in first name, right? So set first name equal to Grace. Now that I have multiple tables, multiple data, I need to specify where I want to change Grace. Which of the rows do I want to change Grace? Right? So anytime I want to do a specification or set a condition, so who can tell me where I want to set Grace to be a capital letter? The first row, right? But SQL doesn't understand what that means. I have to tell it a unique identifier that is unique to that first row. Does that make sense? So I can say where first name is equal to Grace in small letter. I can say where last name is equal to I don't know how to pronounce this name. I'm afraid to make a mistake. Or I can say where age is equal to 70 or where state of origin is equal to Rivers. Why can I do that? I need to find a unique identifier that only belongs to this row of Grace. Does that make sense? So I would say condition, I would say where first name is equal to Grace. You'll be confused, right? I'll say Grace, but in small letter. And I'm going to, because for the first name is Grace, it's only found in the first row, it's not found in any other place. So I'm going to execute this. Oh, it worked. Then I'm going to then say select. Now, in order for me to not go through the headache of having to type all of these things, there's a shortcut for it. Since all of these are the column names in the table Grace table, right? I could just use the asterisk sign and I'll just say from Grace table and end it. And I'm going to execute it. And you can then see it. The Grace has been corrected from small to capital letter. Make sense? Do you want to stop here or do you want to continue? Let me send another link for continuation. Can we drop the call and come back to it again, or I have to create a new link?
Yeah, anyone.
No, is it going to work?
I think we can use the same link. Or
Yes, it will work.
Oh, cool. So then I think we should rejoin again. I sorry about that. I found out that my Teams, it's a Monday thing. I have to send a message to the office. So that's why I couldn't use Teams, because it would have been recorded and it would take longer time, unfortunately. So I'm sorry about that. But I think it's going to go off now. We want to continue, right?
Yes.
Cool. So let's just go off and we can rejoin again.
Before you go on, so when you first changed the first letter in of Grace's name to a capital letter, you did it using that line 53 to line 55. Then you did it using line 57 to 58. But I'm not sure how you did it. I don't understand I don't understand how you did it using line 57 and 58.
Okay, 57, 58. No, this line 57 and line 58 is to view your table.
Right.
So
Okay.
53 and 50 to 55 is what I use to change Grace
Change it.
small capital letter. So basically I'm saying update, then
Yeah.
my table. I'll say set first name is equal to Grace, where first name equal to Grace. You can actually do that.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Because before you said, I thought you said you were going to do it using another method, and yeah.
Yeah, I can actually do that using another method. So let's say I want to go back to Grace, the old Grace, or a new kind of Grace. Or basically I want to change Grace's name to something else, right? So in order for me to do that, or let's say I want to change Grace's age from 70, maybe Grace lied on her age. She's 90. she said she said it's 70. Sorry. Sorry, Grace. It's not like I'm calling you a liar. I'm just, So I would say update update Grace table underscore table. I will say set age, which is the column age, is equal to, let's say, 30. Now I'm going to put a condition where, can anybody guess, other than I'm talking about, other than the people that are already used to SQL, with that Grace of favor, can you guess the condition I would use here? The condition has to be a column. So where a particular column equal to something. So basically I want to change Grace's age from 70 to,
Where age is 70.
oh yeah, you can use age is equal to 70 because it's a unique identifier to that role. Or I can say
I
where
can say that his name
I
is
can say
Grace.
when first name equal to Grace or when last name is equal to Grace's last name that I cannot pronounce. Sorry about that. And I'm going to run it. But usually this is not really best practice. Somebody might want to use something else, right? So last name is equal to her last name. But you can say that and it's allowed. You can call the same column twice and it's allowed. You get? I'm going to execute it and I'm going to view my table to see what I've done. And you can see that Grace's age is now 30. Make sense? So I can do the same thing for Hassan Yusuf. Maybe Hassan Yusuf, um, Hassan Yusuf lied on his name, on his, Hassan Yusuf is actually 200 years and he said he was 170 years. Maybe he wants to get some kind of benefit. So I can see where, I can either say where state of origin is equal to Lagos because state of origin equal to Lagos is unique to Hassan Yusuf. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, cute. You see everything is working fine. And if I go back to view my table, you can see that Hassan Yusuf has been updated to 200 years. So let's say I want to enter, sorry, excuse me. I made a mistake of re-entering this data again. I want to execute this query again of inserting this. You see everything worked fine. So it's not going to discriminate for me basically. I'm entering the same basically data duplication. Now I want to come back to view my table. You can then see I have duplicate data, right? Because every of these data has appeared at least once. Does that make sense? Except for Grace. Grace is the only data that didn't appear, that only appeared once. But Hassan Yusuf is Hassan Yusuf here, and unfortunately, it's taking the same information, right? So I would say the only role that have a unique identifier is that of Grace. Grace's, which is the first row. None of them has any unique identifier because Hassan is also Hassan here, Yusuf is also Yusuf here, you know, and so on and so forth. But thank God for Yusuf. Yusuf is 170 here and Yusuf here is 200. However, how then do we go about this? Let's say this time around I make that same mistake again and say, in fact, let me go to Grace. I'll just copy Grace here because I'm lazy. I'm a lazy person. I'm extremely lazy. Then I would enter Grace so that I don't want to make Grace's name unique to her any longer. I'll just say reverse and I did another duplicate entry and I view my table. You can see now I have a whole lot of duplicates, right? Does that make sense? So, but I want to view this table for only unique values. I just want only unique values, right? I just want rows that only appear at least once. What can I do? One thing I can do is to say, if I want to view my table again, I'll say select every column in my table from the table name, which is Grace underscore table, end. But if I want to view only rows that appear at least once, I'll say distinct. is the attribute I'm going to use. I'll say distinct. So only give me distinct rows that are unique to itself. If it repeats again, just remove it out. So I'm just going to highlight my query and execute. You can then see unique values that only appear once. Now the reason why Hassan Yusuf appear twice is because if you look at age here, Hassan Yusuf Yusuf here is what? 200. So it means that these rows are not the same thing. Now, how then do we then take care of duplicate values? In order for you to be able to take care of duplicate values, you need what they call a unique identifier to every row. Every row has to be unique, and you can enforce that measure in SQL. That every row you enter has to be unique to itself. But unfortunately, I have not enforced it, which is why we are seeing a whole lot of problem. And if I then say give me a data where, for instance, first name is equal to this and last name is equal to that, you would see duplicate data. So let's do that. Let's try that. So let's say I want to select only, you should just give me data. I want to do a filter of all the columns from table, Grace, that's Grace table. Now, I want to put a condition. Anytime you are putting a condition in SQL, you use where. So where first name, for instance, is Grace. Yeah, let's say first name is equal to Grace. I execute it, and you can see I have two different rows where first name is Grace. I can say if I want to add another condition, I can use the and I'll say last name is equal to this. Sorry, I can't pronounce it, and I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to embarrass myself. You can see it's still giving me the same thing, and that is a problem. Although if I say where first name is this and last name and age is 70, for instance, it's going to return one row of data, right? Because we have Grace with both 70 and 30. So this is being specific. Now, but if I'm just viewing all of these data like this without giving any condition, it's going to give me everything, and I don't want that. How then do I take care of making each row unique to itself? I am going to enforce what they call primary key. A primary key is like in Excel, if I say I add a serial number here. If I say this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And I go here and actually I can export this. Don't worry about this. But I can export this to names. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what I just did, please. Or its name. What did I export it to? Oh, compressed. Sorry. Oh. So compressed name. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. I would open this in Excel. I'm just going to copy it because I'm too late. And yep. Just please don't worry about what I just did. There's no need to. Okay, so now I enforce. I'm just trying to put a serial number. Now you can see that we have Grace, the last name. We have Grace again somewhere here with a capital, with a small letter. We have Abiodun twice. We have myself 3 times. We have Hassan Yusuf 3 times, right? But I then have a unique identifier for every row. What is unique? What column is unique to each and every row here? Which of the columns that the value is unique to each and every row here, and that a none is repeating? There's no repetition. Oh, sorry, I have my WhatsApp on. Yeah, somebody should go. If you understand what I said.
Column A.
Column A, right, which is serial number. Serial number is unique to each and every row because 1 is 1, 2 is 2, and there's no repetition. And that's why you see a lot of times you see them putting serial numbers. Make sense? So if I want to then do a filter, I just say I need numbers that are less than 5. You see I've already filtered 1 to 4. But if I clear it and I say I just need names that are Grace, you can see that it's going to give me 2. Does that make sense? So I need to be able to enforce, tell SQL that no, I need to enforce this unique identifier. Now, you see the serial numbers that are unique to itself. These are what they call, do you see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? They are unique. They are what they call primary key, and they are unique to this row in SQL. So you need to look for a way to enforce that. So what do? I'll go back to my my SQL. I want to add a primary key, something like a serial number or something. So I would say, let's say, I want to add a new row called admission number. And I want it to be the unique identifier for every row in my SQL table. Now, what do? If I want to do this, I would say, because I'm trying to play with the table in itself by adding a new column, I would use the alter command. Then I'll say alter table, the name of my table. I would say add column, sorry, and I'll say admission number is the name of my column. I will call the data type. I would say variable character. I would say you should just have no more than 10 characters. Then I'm going to add another attribute, but I will not do that now. I'm going to run it. It is successful. If I go and view my table, we would see my table. Admission number, but is carrying a data type called, is carrying a kind of data. It just did a prefill of the data null. Null means empty. So basically null is me adding admission number here and leaving it empty. But SQL does not take anything like this. It needs to pre-fill this place with something. So it's assuming that this empty space is null or empty. So and it's telling you that it is null. You cannot just build a column without it having like a filled in value. So it just did like an automatic filling of null. So null means basically empty. Now, but if I go back and refresh my schema and go back to my information about my column under Grace table, I have admission number. I have not still I have not still enforced the unique identifier. Now, because each and every row of data has at least appeared once, I would want to make it, instead of a variable character, an integer like a serial number, right? Now I made a mistake of using variable character. I would want to modify that. Then how do I do that? I'll say alter table. I'll say Grace underscore table. I'll say modify, because I want to do a modification of my column, and I don't need to mention column again. I'll just say modify admission number. I'll say int, right? Now I want to make it a unique identifier. I would say primary key. That's how you make it a unique identifier. There's another attribute I want to make. Because I want to make it serial number, I would say auto increment, auto underscore increment here. So basically I'm saying increment it from 1 to as much, in as much as I enter any new value, you add +1 to it. So basically that will be it. And I would end it with a semicolon, and I'm going to highlight, and I'll run. Now it shows everything is fine. If I then go to my table and view it, it's going to automatically populate the admission number from 1 to wherever my row stop. So you can see, sorry, let me bring this down a little, let me take this up a little. Can you see 1 2 3 4 5 6? This 1 2 3 4 5 6 to 11 is as a result of this auto increment. I'm saying auto increment it from 1 to wherever it stops. So it's basically, I'm saying something like this. I'm doing something like this on Excel. Yeah, this. So I'm saying, you guys know how to do serial number automatic fill, right? You do flash fill. I'll do it like this, and I'll just click down here. I'll say fill series, and it does that for me. So basically, this is what auto increment does. Does that make sense? Any question? Any questions? Whose
Not
head
for
is
me.
okay? Cool. Now, so now you can then see that I have Grace, the last name, the age, but admission number is 1, and so on and so forth. So what does that mean? If I want to then remove every other information that appeared more than once, so I say Grace, Hassan, Abiola, myself, Hassan, like that. So basically from row 4, every other thing is a duplicate. What do? I can say, if I want to now delete the rest. So I can say anything greater than 4 from the admission number, delete it. So I will say delete from the table name, which is Grace underscore table. I will then give a condition where admission number. Now because this is an integer, this is a number, I will say greater than 4. Does that make sense? So I can either say greater than 4 or greater than equal to 5. It's the same thing, right? Is that not? Greater than 4 or greater than equal to 5. So I'm going to run my code. Everything works fine. I'll go back to my table. I'll highlight. I can then see that I have my data. Now, if I would then want to enter a new data, let me use somebody else's name. Insert table. Then, oh, sorry, insert is into table, right? Into table. Is it into? See, I forgot now. Again, I'm going to copy everything here. Let me just do first name, last name. Age, state of origin. Now I can decide to miss one if I want. Let me just say address if I want. Now I don't necessarily need to add admission number here because it is auto increment, is automatic, right? So I don't need to add admission number because it is automatic. My values, what do I enter? Whose name should I use? Let me see. Let me copy one name here. Sorry, you. Cecilia, sorry. Cecilia. Um, age is 5. Address is one kind of address like that. Is it joke? Forget about it. It is a joke. Don't worry, I'll take it to I'll take it to a place. One kind of address like that. Let's say Ogun State, Nigeria. Right, so I think I'm done. Uh, it's showing me error. I don't know why. Let me run it. Okay, so it's showing me an error. I don't know why that error is. Oh, I don't need to say table. Sorry. Inside into I don't need to say table. I knew something was wrong. I was wondering why. So I would run it and you see everything is fine. Despite the fact that I have missed a particular column, which is what? State of origin. Right? I also skipped admission number. I told you the reason why it is futile because I said it's auto increment, so it's automatic. It's going to generate it by itself. You don't need to tell it what to do again. Now let me view my table. I can then see that the next number is 12. Now you might be wondering why we need this start from 5. Remember that the last number is 11, right? So therefore, it generated the 12th admission number, which is 12. After 11 was 12, and so we didn't need to say 5 again because even though it's supposed to say 5, how you know it in Excel. Unfortunately, that number has existed before, so it cannot, and this is supposed to be a unique identifier. It cannot go back again. Does that make sense? So, number 5 has been there before you deleted it, 6 has been there before you deleted it. It doesn't mean that it was not there. So therefore it moves to the next unique identifier that is unique to that row that has never occurred before. So it is never going to happen again. Do you understand? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Please pick up. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense what I said. Now,
Sense. It makes sense.
cool. So now remember that I skipped the state of origin, and it ended up filling. You did a pre-end filling for me of none, right? Now what do? I can decide to say, I can decide to fill it if I so want. You understand? How do I do that? I would say update table. So update this table. I will say set state of origin set state of origin equal to delta. Is delta a state? Yeah, delta is a state. Where? Now, I don't really need to say where Cecilia is because I already have a unique identifier. So I'll just be saying where admission number is what? 12. So it works fine because there's no error in the output, the action output. If I run it, you can then see my state of origin is delta for Cecilia, where admission number is 12. So the purpose of a unique identifier or a primary key is so that you can easily make reference to that particular primary key anytime you want to do any change. Does that make sense? Any questions? Any questions? I think I'm going to slow down now. Any questions?
None from me.
Cecilia, any questions? Favor, any questions? Abiola, any questions?
No, not for me. Thank you, sir.
No question, sir.
Grace, any questions?
Sir, I have a suggestion though. Is it possible to be adding comments on the code like as we proceed so that maybe if someone wants to check it again, we can.
No, so yeah, it is possible, right? And so if you want to add a comment, as Mr. Abiola has mentioned, a comment basically in any programming language is something that is there, is a readable text, but it doesn't have anything to do with the query or code you are writing. It has nothing to do with it. You are just making it like the way I did this when I was doing insert into, I just enter so that it should make it clean. Now, it's a way of telling a second viewer what you actually do. So, for instance, what did I do here? I did I updated this Cecilia's date of origin. Is that what I did? That's what I did, right? So do it like this. But unfortunately, update is a keyword in SQL, my SQL server, which is why you see it even highlighted it to be blue. Let's even say I updated. Yeah. But if I then decide to, you can then see that this particular semi hyphen is affecting my code here in such a way that if I run it, oh, it's going to run, but it's literally going to, it's not going to make it like a SQL reading, just like the way it is here, or just like the way it was before, right? Now, in order for me to, this is supposed to be a comment of what this query is. So it's telling like the third person or second person that is viewing what you are actually doing here. Now, in order for me to put a comment, there are two types of comment: a single and multiple line comment. A single line comment is just dash dash or minus minus twice. So minus minus, and that's a comment. So you can then see that when I did that, it changed color. This is a single line comment. Why is this single line? I can only it's only a comment on line 88. If I go to line 89, it's no more a comment. That's why it's a single line comment. But as long as I type on line 88, it will just be a comment. It will not do anything. So even if I see what happens, right? So even if I highlight here and here together, highlight, it's literally going to do nothing to my code. It's going to run. But if I do something like this, oh sorry about that. I think it's still going to run with an error. Oh yeah, it's going to run with an error because it doesn't understand what I'm writing here. So yeah, so this is what they call a single line comment. The multiple line comment is basically, I would say, I write here again, and I'll say again and again. So this is supposed to be a comment, but the same comment but on line 90, 91, 92. If I want to do that, I would say a forward slash asterisk and end it with a forward slash asterisk. So anything asterisk and forward slash. Now anything I write inside this tag, this is what they call a tag. Anything I write inside here, as long as it is inside here, it will forever remain a comment. Does that make sense? Any
Yes,
questions?
it makes sense.
I didn't want to mention this before, but no. So the newbie, Favor, and Grace, do you understand? So this is a single line comment. This is a multiple line comment. So I can then comment multiple line comment. This is a single line comment. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Any other questions? Please ask questions. This is not like this is not a teacher-student relationship here. We are doing colleague, friends, and stuff. So please ask questions. Ask me questions like I was your colleague or your friend in a place of work or at home. You know.
Sir, I want to ask a question. If you want to sort like the column, like a data, like the table now, based on the age, maybe greater than certain age, how will you do that? Like selecting data points based on criteria that their age must be greater than.
Oh, cool. So let me do this table. Let's say we want to get only people that are above 20, for instance. Only we just want to view people that are above 20. What I can do is to use this select, and also basically it's a condition, which is what is I'm going to do a filter where age greater than 20. Basically like this. So let's add a filter to this table, and I'm just coming to age. I'm saying number filter uh, uh, greater than 15 years or 12. So this is basically what Mr. Abiodun is saying. So in order for me to do that, I'll use the where command, where what age is greater than 15, basically. And when I do that, it's going to remove myself, right? It's just going to remove the fourth row, which is this, right? And so it's going to only bring ages that are between uh, 15 and it's going to bring 16 and above, right? Or 15 and above. Now, let's say I want to sort this in a like an assembly order where so when I'm done with this, after I've sorted it, I want to also make it in ascending order. So I'll just say from what smallest to biggest, right? Something like this. Now, in order for me to do that in SQL, I would say order by, what do I want to order by age? Now I would say ascending order, which is ASC. Now by default, order by is in ascending, right? I don't need to do that, but let's just say, you know, I'm a newbie, I'll just put ASC, which is ascending, an acronym for ascending. I'll highlight my query and I'll execute it, and you can then see 30, 40, 55, 200, just like I did here in Excel. So what I did was to do a number filter, then I now sort from smallest to largest. Now the same thing if I want to do, now if I remove the ASC, it's going to give me the same thing, right? It's going to give me the same thing. Now if I want to do descending, I'll say DESC, which is an acronym for descending, and it's going to start from largest to smallest. Now, Mr. Abiodun is saying the top 3 age. So the top 3 age in terms of highest age. So let's say I want to get the top highest age in my whole table. Now I would say select all my columns from grace. I would say order by age in descending order because I want the largest to the smallest. And you can see I have 200 down. Watch out, 255, 40, 30, and 12. Now, the top 3. If I want to do top, I would say limit. Basically, the limit, I would say limit it from the first row. how many rows do I want to keep? Row 1, row 2, row 3. So I'm saying going to say limit it to just 3 rows. And it's going to take out from Grace to my name. So Grace and my name as well. So when I highlight it, you can see that it is 200, then 55, then 40. But whatever I want to say, the lowest, no, the top lowest in each. It will be top lowest age. I don't know how to speak English. Sorry. The top three lowest in age. So what I'm just going to basically do is to just leave this, and from descending, I leave it, or I can put ascending if I want, and if I run it, it's going to give me the last three age from 12 to 30 to 40. So what I want to say, the top lowest age, but in from the highest to the lowest. So meaning from 40 to from 40 to 12. That's a different conversation. We'll be discussing about that later. Now I want to mention in SQL, a lot of times you are not going to be doing data entry as a data analyst. You will mostly be updating or uploading data. You are literally not going to be doing data entry. Please, I want you to know that a lot of times. Only very few times we will do data entry. Maybe we are getting the data from an application where they have a database. Now, a lot of times you come and meet a database you have to connect to online, or they give you a file that you upload to your table. Let's do that before we leave, because I don't want this to get really boring. Now let's say I have let me see, I think I should have some table that I should okay, I think I should have some table here. Okay, cool, I think I have some table here. So I have a list of students here that has admission number, first name, last name, basically. Now I want to upload it into my database. First thing I'm going to do is to create again, I'm going to still use the same database. I'm going to create a table. The table name will just be student. It's going to take admission number, first name, last name. Right. Now I'll just make it cleaner by doing this, right? Now what is missing? The data type. Now this will be variable character, and I'm just going to put 20 because I don't know the number of characters that is there. But why do I put variable character? And this one I can just use character instead, and I'll put 50. This is also a data type character, and the last one I would say now I want to then call my priority. If I go back to my file, this is a CSV file. You can see the admission number usually is like a unique identifier, right? Because if you look at it, it doesn't look like it's repeating. I think I should do this. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's repeating. Now the names can repeat. You can have the same name, same last name also, but the admission number is unique to a student, right? Now what I can then do is to say primary key, right? I can either do this, or I will do this. I'll say after I'm done with everything, I'll just say primary key. Then I'll just put in bracket, I'll say admission number. Either one works. Either one works. And when I'm done, I would highlight everything and run it. You can see it's showing me green in it, and everything is fine. It's not showing any table here because I need to refresh. When I refresh, I can then see that I have a student table. If I click on it, I can see my admission number. It is highlighted in thick bold color. Is the variable character of this and is the primary key of this. Now I want to then get this data into my table. I don't really need to type everything and say insert into. What I can do from here, since I have a file of it here, I'm just going to copy um, this directory. I will go to my table, my student table, right click, go to table data import wizard, click on it. It's going to say where is my file path. Again, I'm going to paste my file path as this. I will browse unsolved student info. I'll go to student. This is where my file path is. I'll open. Is a CSV file, a comma separated value file. Go to next. Now it says use existing table, which is my LinkedIn SQL DB dot student, which is my basically saying the LinkedIn database and that the student table in the LinkedIn database. Or I can create a new table, but I don't want to do. I want to use existing. I'll just leave the check mark there or the radio box there. I'll click on next. The next thing it's going to do is going to map my source column to my destination column. Where is my source column? My source column is this particular file here. Now it's going to map it to my destination column, which is my table, my student table here. Admission number is to admission number. First name is to first name. Last name is to last name. You can see the difference that this last name is having a space in between, just like we have here. Admission number is also having a space in between. Now, it is intuitive enough to map it. Sometimes it is not. Let's assume that admission number here is actually first name. You just click here and click on first name. You can select what you want, but everything looks intact here and you can see it here. When I'm done mapping the source column to the destination column, the source column is where you are getting your data from. Your destination column is this student column here. This student table here, sorry. I'll just click on next. I would say next, and everything has been imported. You can show logs, everything has been imported. Next, you see 30 records imported, which is true. We have about 30 records here to 130. And then I can then view my table. Select all from student table, right? The name of my table is student, and if I run it, I can see my data. So a lot of times, in fact, if you are going to do any kind of data entry, this is most likely what you'll be doing in terms of data entry. But the goal is to teach you the fundamentals so that you don't think it is just like that. The idea behind fundamentals is really important. I've ever met a data analyst who does SQL but does not know Microsoft Excel. I was shocked to my bones. So this is basically the fundamentals you can actually do. All of these things that I've taught is basically the fundamentals. A lot of times you might not even be dealing with all of this stuff I have taught, but it is really important you know the fundamentals so you don't start wondering if somebody is doing magic. So because the person doesn't know Microsoft Excel, the person is not used to different file types, and it became a serious confusion. Like you don't know this, like I don't know, like how then can you come up with data analysis? Like that's where his own data analysis starts from. I say, okay, best of luck, you know. It's funny, but it's really not. So, any questions? Do we all understand, including the people that is zero in SQL? Do we all understand?
Yes, I understand.
Look like you want to ask a question.
I just want to say that can you provide us like a table in the after this video?
Don't worry. See, don't worry. You like work. I'll give you work. I told you part of the out of the introductory. I said I will give you. I will give you something to do. Don't worry. I will. We are getting somewhere. In fact, I have a first project in mind. We are getting somewhere.
Okay.
Any questions? Favor, Grace. Any questions?
Not for me.
Are you sure? You understand everything we just said?
It was a lot of information, but I think I have to actually take time, go back, and then, yeah, if I have any questions, yeah.
Okay, so it's not like my English was, you know, it's not like I know engineering students don't know English very well like that. So, um, please, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Do you understand all the English I've spoken so far?
So far, yeah, like
Yeah.
Silver said, I'll just go back and do it again.
So, Nina, Oku, Okufiewa, right?
Just cut, you know.
If Oku, if I just, if I, yeah. Do you understand all what we've done? Landlord, I guess you.
Yes, yes.
Any questions?
No.
I think Cecilia is good. Mr. Abiodun has been the one lashing me with different questions since. So the assessment we are going to not an assessment, please. It's a task. This is what we want to do. We want to build a result management system, and this is what it's going to look like quickly. Result management system. Yep. So this is what it's going to look like in Excel. So we're going to do something like this. This is what we're going to build. This is our first task. This is where we are going to go to. So what I'm going to do is to send you a student profile. In fact, no, we will not do this. This is too much beyond this thing. But you might come here at some point in time. But we want to build something like this. Basically, a database that contains student information of different courses. Now, each of so we have sorry about that. Unsolved, we have the student info, and we have the courses with a course code. The course code is the primary key. Please take note. We have the student, which have admission number first. Then we have a student profile that have the admission number, the age, the gender, and the classroom. I'm going to correct this. Don't mind me. And for each of the courses, okay, where are the courses? Oh God, where are the courses? Hold on. Wait, I think I splitted it somewhere. Oh God. Okay, it is like an application. Okay, so for each of these courses, we have first CA. We have the first CA, the admission number of this, and so on and so forth. So I'll be sending an instruction. You build me a database, a student database with student information, student profile, the courses that have the course code, as well as each on every course, the first assessment, second assessment, third assessment, like that, so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Yes,
does. If
yes.
you get the instruction.
Yeah, you will get the instruction, don't worry. I will build it, then we'll come and talk about how we are going to continue in the next session. So, like I said, it's going to be project-based teaching, so you get like a real sense of how to. So you have like a focus where you are going to. It's not just random. Makes sense. So without any
Yes.
questions, I'm going to stop recording now.